wake-up call.
He's at the midcourt circle. 4 seconds. 3 seconds left. Why are they not fouling? Jumper Murray. Got it to hard. Denver mounts the comeback. They come back from 20 points down. They win game number 2. 101 to 99 is the final. And the Lakers can take that L on the way out.
So it continues. That spectacular buzzer beater for Murray means the Lakers have now lost 6 straight games to Denver in the playoffs. Going back to last year, the losing streak is 10 in total. They've been competitive, but they're not able to finish. 4 of the 6 games were by 6 points or fewer. 4 of the 6 games, they had double-digit leads, including a 20-point lead last night. And with the Nuggets now up 2 games to none and almost inevitably on their way to winning the series, I'm just going to make this a change my mind. I'm not going to go back to the whole argument that we had about should the Lakers have jerry-rigged this situation. There's no point in arguing about that anymore. But someone changed my mind that the Lakers would not beat anyone else in the West. And that was the reason I was making that point. Watch the way they're playing. Legs, you tell me what other team in the West they couldn't beat. I don't know that first. I'm not saying they're a lock to win any series, but I would pick the Lakers in a series against any of the other teams in the Western Conference. And unfortunately for them and their fans, the one team they drew in round 1 is the one team I don't think they can.
Well, none of us have a crystal ball to know it, but here's the thing. That's absolutely a valid argument because of the way Anthony Davis is playing. Like, Anthony Davis is this dominant and this aggressive. Absolutely, the Lakers have enough to beat any team in the Western Conference except this team. So I do agree with that. But look, there's so much more to come in the Western Conference to see how these series are going to play out. Maybe I'd have a different opinion on that when I see what transpires in, for instance, the Clippers-Mavericks series. Yeah. Let's see when Kawhi injects himself into that and how do those 2 teams look going forward. Maybe I'd have an argument about that. I don't know if the Lakers could beat one of those 2 teams. But what you're saying clearly has merit because of the way Anthony Davis looks right now, and that's consistently great, as he has been really all year, but particularly down the stretch.
I think my biggest concern with the Lakers is the level of the physicality of the game. And when you look at LeBron and AD, like they're able to handle the physicality and match that. I don't really think anybody else on their roster, other than Jared Vanderbilt, if he's able to come back, can handle that. So I think when that wear and tear goes all the way throughout the course of a game, and then you get down the stretch, and that's where you get into the nuances, and I think that's where the Denver has such a massive advantage. I don't think there are too many teams in the league that can match that physicality. I do think Minnesota is one of them, though. And I know we always overlook Minnesota, but I'm just trying to tell y'all, Minnesota has that dog in them, and they have sides, and they have the physicality to combat that.
I agree with you on Minnesota, and my Achilles heel in this space may be falling in love with young teams a little too easy. But I do agree with you in this way, Greeny. The Lakers have the combination of the physically gifted roster and the experience that is bar none when you look out at the West outside of the Denver Nuggets. You could argue if you wanted to in terms of the Clippers, but really you've only got Kawhi with that group that has actually won a championship. And so I agree with you. We don't have a crystal ball because I like Minnesota too. And I do wonder if playing the best and the reigning champion elevates your level a little bit, and if you would have had to work through some less than stellar moments if you played down to any competition. But when you look at their combination of their roster makeup and their experience, they are the most equipped.
Well, look, I mean, who is it that you trust more than you trust their 2 stars? Yeah. Anthony Davis, we have...
Wow, we trusted both stars this year. Look, give AD his props.
A long way.
Give AD his props.
But how do you not? I mean, he has been magnificent. 32 points last night, and he just ran out of steam. He had all 32 of his points in the first 32 minutes of play last night. But I'm going to cut him some slack. I don't know if everyone else is.
He's had a great year.
He's guarding Nikola Jokic all by himself out there. There's no one in the NBA that can do that.
He's been incredible, and there's a reason the Lakers were so good in close games this year because Anthony Davis was available all season long, so they were great if you got them in one-possession games in the last 4 minutes of the game. Didn't happen for him last night. One thing I think they're going to look at from last night and go back and revisit when they watch this film, they did get away from the action that Denver couldn't guard.
Pick and roll with LeBron James and AD.
They were running LeBron AD pick and roll, and we were making such a big deal about that the first 8-10 minutes of the second half. They really did get away from that as the fourth quarter wore on. It's almost like they were just hoping one shot goes in, it changes the momentum here. We'll go back to the thing that Denver was having a very difficult time figuring out how to play.
You had issues with the coach last night.
To me, I get LeBron James as a coach on the floor. But like to me, like that is an aspect of coaching. Like when you're getting away from your bread and butter, center, a play that was working multiple times at the beginning of the third quarter, and then all of a sudden LeBron is calling up Rui Hachimura. I'm like, no, keep running, keep going to the well until it's dry. And also, I'm going to go again. I know Nikola Jokic, he is bona fide the best player in basketball right now. AD, Defensive Player of the Year candidate, understand in that conversation, even though he didn't win it. But still, to have him on an island by himself last night, to keep running that over and over and over, to not show any wrinkle in that defense down the stretch, it can't just be like, well, that's where it is. You got to pick your poison. You got to give a variety of different looks. You have to.
Yeah. You're not wrong, Jay. It would have helped to see there be an attempt. I will give you that. We wonder if that ultimately would have been the solution still, and that's just because of the way that Nikola Jokic has the ability to play basketball.
But, Mata, I'm only going to say, at the end of the day, if Michael Porter Jr. makes some tough threes, KCP makes some tough threes, fine. You know who's not going to beat us, though? We're going to take the ball out of Jokic's hand. We're going to deny Jamal Murray the ball.
I'm with you, but I also think if we just talked about over the course of the second part of that third quarter, when Denver started to pick up the pace, we actually heard on the call, and I loved hearing Jamal Crawford on the call, he said the Lakers have done a really good job of being disciplined, right? And then in the third quarter, things started to change. They went away from what was working. Part of that, though, was Denver beginning to pick up the pace and get at them a little bit differently on the defensive end.
Here's the part of it I struggle with. If I'm a Laker fan this morning, here's the biggest problem I have. They did everything we think they need to do to win the game last night. They can't put D'Angelo Russell on the floor. Well, next thing you know, he makes 7 threes last night and candidly gets fouled on a play that they called back, which I'll never understand as long as I live. LeBron is brilliant. Anthony Davis is brilliant. You have a 20-point lead in the second half. If you're not going to win that game, what game is it they're winning in this series?
That's how I feel about it. And if you go back and look at the last 6 minutes of the game, the truth of the matter is this. Look, they made a lot of shots to get that lead. You could go look at 4 or 5 different jump shots that did not go their way in the last 6 minutes of the game, any one of which probably changes the outcome. That's how fine a line we're talking here.
Wanna try to boast at what I look like. Think I'm gonna try to wear, pull up long range. Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. It's NBA over here, feeling fun.